We begin the journey with the Middle Ages. We start here because so much of what we consider music to be has as its foundation in the Middle Ages. Polyphony starts in the Middle Ages. Church modes become our modern-day scales, and the division between secular and sacred music begins here. There were three class distinctions during this time. The nobility, sheltered in fortified castles, knights in armor, they amused themselves with hunting, feasting, and tournaments, and music, of course. Peasants were the vast majority of the population. They lived miserably, subject to feudal overlords. And then the clergy. The Roman Catholic Church exerted power. Monks held a virtual monopoly on learning and did hand copying of scores. The official music of the church was Gregorian chant. It was monophonic, meaning one melody line without an accompaniment. The melody moved by steps in a narrow range. It was a very flexible rhythm, not metrical at all. It is called Gregorian because it was named for Pope Gregory I. The church was the center of life and exerted a lot of control over everyone. They had human and financial resources to write down the music. And the important musicians at the time were priests. Women, however, were not allowed to sing in church, but did make music in convents. Only sacred music was notated, and instruments were not used in church. Few medieval instruments have survived. Music in manuscripts of this time do not indicate tempo, dynamics, or rhythm. The chants were based on church modes, the foundation for our scales of today, for there were different whole and half-step patterns in those modes. Hildegard von Bingen is our first composer. She's the first composer of Western music whose biography is actually known. She wrote more than 70 pieces of music. She couldn't sing in church, but wrote music for the women of the church, the nuns. Von Bingen was the 10th child in her family, which meant that she was given to the church to raise. That's known as a tithe baby. And a tithe baby was given to the church because it was believed that the family couldn't afford to raise the child after having so many, and that the church would do much better for the child. She was consulted by popes. She was an herbal healer. There were two kinds of music in the Middle Ages. Sacred, that's music for the church, and secular, music not for the church, or everything else. Examples of secular music would be for dancing and social occasions and love songs. Between 700 and 900 Common Era, after hundreds of years with just one melodic line and no accompaniment, a second line of music is added to the Gregorian chant. This creates polyphony. Early polyphonic writing is organum or organum. Another new development in this time was measured rhythm. This came from Paris, the school of Notre Dame. Leonin and Periton were the pioneers. They developed precise rhythms. Prior to them, there was only a notated pitch, but no specific rhythm. Another development was new music notation, the subdivision of beats, and syncopation. The two leaders in this new music notation were Guillaume de Machaut in France and Landini in Italy.